One of the superpowers of the narcissist is his or her ability to pick up on nonverbal cues. You know what those are: facial expressions, body language, whatever. In fact, one of the reasons that you and I were ensnared by a narcissist in the first place was probably because he or she was able to sense what we were thinking just basically by observing us. And they may not even have been conscious of the fact that they were doing it. Now, they probably were, but maybe not. So they have this superpower. But we have a superpower that will counteract that. So think of this as the battle of the titans. There's the super villain, the narcissist, and then there's you, the superhero. So you've got the superpower that will counteract his superpower or her superpower, which is picking up on those nonverbal cues. And what is your superpower? Well, we call it poker face. In other words, you just don't send out any super cues. You just shut them off like a faucet. How do you do that? Well, if you want to know how to do it, just watch people play poker. I mean, professional poker players. They just don't give off cues because they know that the other players are watching them out the corner of their eye or maybe peripheral vision. They're paying close attention to even the slightest little facial expression that would indicate what they're holding in their hand. That's not a new strategy. It's been around forever. Okay, so why does this work so well with a narcissist? Because the narcissist is just flat out confused. So he is trying to attach strings and then pull your lever, so to speak, because, you know, as we use the analogy I like to use, and I have used a lot in the past, is we're kind of his puppets or her puppets with the strings attached. And so they pull the string and nothing happens because we've gone poker face. We're just not responding. In fact, sometimes we may not want to communicate at all. Say nothing, not just nonverbal cues, but verbal cues, or, you know, just nothing. No writing cues, just, you know, kind of go blank. Some people call that gray rock, but you don't have to wait till you totally get rid of a narcissist to do that. But even at the very beginning, when you sense this person may be a little bit manipulative, that is the point in time to break it off. I don't understand this. I don't understand how people get addicted, trauma-bound to narcissists. Now, I was watching a video on YouTube earlier today, and for some reason, I like to watch these videos because this is the type of psychology that fascinates me. But I was watching one of these videos where the person was a victim of romance scamming. This was a man, and he was infatuated with a young woman who, quite frankly, was the photos the scammer was using. Actually, it was a Nigerian, but he had stolen somebody's photos of a very attractive woman. And this guy, middle-aged, why in the world he believed that this beautiful young woman, who was like, 22 years old, according to her profile, would have any interest in him whatsoever? Don't know, but it worked very well, and he would send her money. Now, here's the thing that got me about this. Even after he found out he was being scammed, he was so attached to the illusion of this person being real that he kept sending her money.
You literally just sent money last week. You got the blog post. You saw our blog post. You saw who the real woman was. I just don't understand, what the disconnect is. What's driving you to believe something that you know is fake?
What was driving me, first of all, at the end with Valerie the last time was I gave my word.
Okay, kept sending him money. It was some guy in Nigeria pretending to be this young woman, but he was so attached to the illusion. So why is it that we are so attached to the narcissist in our life? They have convinced us that this is a real friend. He's our buddy. Or, this is a person of affection, romance thing. And that is so embedded in our minds that even though consciously we know this is a scam, we know this is a narcissist, we know this is a puppeteer, still, that subconscious part of our brain compels us to play along with the game. That is very weird, but it's very true. It's very real. I know because I experienced it. I mean, when I've been scammed by a narcissist in the past, I had such a difficult time disassociating that person with the idea that they were my friend, even after I knew they had stolen thousands of dollars from me. I understand what these people are going through. I understand the trauma bond because I have been a part of it. So what do you do? How do you deal with this? What superpower do we have available to break that bond? And again, the answer is poker face. Now, keep in mind when I say poker face, as I said earlier, it's not just your face. It's not just that we don't give off any nonverbal cues, but we just don't give any cues whatsoever. Just don't contact them. Now, it may be difficult originally, maybe difficult to do, but at the very beginning, but practice it a little bit. And what I have found is, okay, the more you stay away from this person, the clearer your mind becomes, the easier it is to see that I was scammed. By the way, this works if you ever get involved in a cult, not just a religious cult, but any kind of cult. Once you get away from them, you're able to view things objectively. And that is the value of the superpower of the poker face response. Second superpower is this. I call it the self-management mindset. Now, there are other terms for this, like self-confidence. But that term self-confidence, it's overused. It's so cliche, we don't even pay attention to what it means. We say self-confidence, and we think, yeah, we speak loud. Yeah, we're not shy. We're self-confident. Well, we're talking about confiding in ourselves. We're talking about managing our minds, not somebody else. Remember the last couple of videos, we talk about the puppeteer and him pulling or her pulling your strings. The narcissist is the puppeteer. And the worst thing you could do is pull back because, okay, now it's a tug of war. Now it's a game. The narcissist loves to play games. You're just bringing him into the game. He's digging in deeper. The thing to do is break loose of those strings. Just cut them loose. Go on your own way. Forget the guy best you can. And that is a part of self-management mindset. So the narcissist detected and tested our gullibility. We established that in superpower number 1 when we talked about that. They know that we are gullible. They are like a cat who sees a mouse and they just know they're supposed to chase that mouse. They just instinctively know it. And as I said earlier, they may not even be conscious of it. They may not even think about it. It is so second nature to them that they just do it. Okay, it's first nature to them. They just do it. And one of the ways we get away from that is we take our mind and we say, wait a minute, hang on a second. This narcissist has attached strings to my thinking. I didn't realize it. I didn't know it, but I am thinking the way that he wants me to think or she wants me to think. Every time they speak to me, every time they say something, every time they show a little bit of emotion or show disappointment in us, what they're doing is they're getting inside our heads and they are manipulating our minds. They are managing our minds for us. Get them out of your head. The way to get them out of your head is to get them out of your, just get them out of sight. Get them out of earshot. Just get away from them totally. They're still in your head. You still have a memory, right? Because, well, that's where you're made. But the longer, and I just said this a second ago, the longer you stay away from these people, the clearer your mind becomes. So superpower number 1 is you got to have this poker face response. And superpower number 2, got to take control of your brain, take control of your thinking processes, and we call that self-management mindset, or at least that's what I call it. Number 3, superpower number 3, this is one that I harp on now and again on my YouTube channel, and that is superpower number 3 is probably the greatest superpower you or anybody can ever have, and that is the truth. Because, well, the truth is it's immutable. It is what it is. It cannot change. I mean, it's more solid than a solid rock. It's more solid than granite. It just cannot change. Reality is what reality is. Or as I like to say often, to summarize it in 2 words, is just is. Well, why is that a superpower? I mean, truth is what it is. It cannot be moved, cannot be changed. People believe weird things. They believe strange things, and they say this is the truth, but it's not. Truth is what it is. Is. Okay, why is that a superpower? Well, that is a superpower for the victim of a narcissist because truth is the kryptonite. Okay, I'm making the narcissist out to be Superman. Probably shouldn't use that, but it is the sunlight to a vampire. The truth is the sunlight to a vampire. If a vampire is exposed to the sunlight, in the movies, then what happens? Well, it depends on the movie, but typically what happens is he just disintegrates, turns into a vapor, and poof, he's gone. Same thing is true of the manipulating tactics of a narcissist. When the truth is imposed upon his lies, and keep in mind, as I say often, a narcissist doesn't just lie, he is a lie or she is a lie. Their whole life is a lie. It's all make-believe because they don't like the truth. And when you just move back to the truth, when you appeal to the truth, that totally destroys the narcissist. So what is he going to do? What is she going to do? She's going to say the lie is the truth and the truth is a lie. He or she is going to try to confuse reality in the minds of others and, if possible, even in you. And sometimes it will work with you. I mean, it did, or you would not have been ensnared by the narcissist in the first place. Fact of the matter is, I believe the lies of narcissists. That's how they duped me. But once I get a handle on the truth, and I can see past the fake veil of what is narcissism, then I have access to that superpower that can, well, it can just destroy him or her. I mean, just wipe him out. Now, I'm not saying literally make him disintegrate like a vampire. I guess that's kind of obvious. But I'm saying that power, that control, that string, that manipulation ability that they have over me and you, once we embrace the truth for what it is, the narcissist is just helpless. I mean, just helpless. Now, keep in mind, truth doesn't change. The fact that it's covered up, the fact that the narcissist can hide it, that he can manipulate it, doesn't change it. It's still there. Now, when I was preparing my notes on this, I was thinking of, do you remember that 5,000-year-old man they found in the Swiss Alps? I think it was back in the 1990s. I'd been there for 5,000 years, covered in ice and snow and who knows what else. Nobody knew he was there. He was totally covered up. But, circumstances presented themselves in the weather, whatever the climate, so that, he emerged. Some guy was out, hiking or whatever you do in the Alps. And he saw this, he saw the remains of this human being, and obviously the guy didn't know this was the oldest remains of any human being attacked ever found in world history. He just thought it was some guy, who's been there for a while, obviously, but I thought maybe he had an accident, maybe somebody, I thought it was a contemporary, somebody maybe got hurt, I don't know. But obviously he was dead and he was laying there, so, they contacted the authorities. The authorities came out, took a look, and what they discovered was this guy's been hidden for 5,000 years. Now, where was he 2,000 years ago? The time of Christ. Well, he was there, he was covered in ice. I mean, the fact that he was covered up and hidden didn't change the fact that he was there. Was, there he was. Same thing is true of the truth, that the narcissist is very good at burying you. By the way, they named that guy Ötzi. I don't know what that means, but I'm sure it has some meaning. But the narcissist has all these Ötzis in his life, and he just loves to bury him and create a totally new scenario, a totally new fake reality. But once we embrace the truth, we just kind of wipe that out. Out comes the sunlight, out comes the weather change, out comes the climate change, and there is reality. So the reality is always there. It doesn't matter how much the narcissist lies, doesn't matter how many people he fools or convinces that you're the bad guy and he is the good guy. The truth is still there. I mean, it is still there. We need to get a hold of that because that is one superpower that the narcissist is helpless against. Absolutely, positively helpless against. One more illustration that I think will drive this thought home, but have you ever lost your cell phone? Or maybe a wallet or something. And maybe I lost a camera once, and I just knew that somebody had stolen it because I knew where I had it, and it was there, in my motel room, and I was gone. So it's kind of obvious that somebody was in the motel room and took my camera. Well, who would do that? So I thought about it. So, the only people who have access to my motel room is the maid, or anybody with a key to get in. Could be maintenance, but probably it was the maid, saw that valuable camera. Okay, it wasn't valuable, probably worth, $50, but whatever, is one of those cheap little things. But, it was very clear to me that the camera's gone, putting two and two together. The only person who has access to my room was the maid, and so the maid obviously stole my camera. But then I found my camera. I just misplaced it. So the camera was where it was the entire time that I was making up all this nonsense in my mind. All the time I was making up these scenarios and blaming that poor little maid who didn't want my cheap camera anyhow. Reality was what it was. Truth was what it was. So we need to keep in mind that I'm reiterating what I said earlier for emphasis, but the narcissist will create a false reality to dupe us and to dupe others. Why does he or she do this? You already know the answer to this, because they can't deal in reality because their self-esteem is so low. They can't handle it. So they have to make up stuff to make themselves look better and to make you look worse. So they can be head and shoulders above you and everybody else in the eyes of everybody else. Just wipe it out. Just appeal to the truth. This is the truth. So those are the 3 superpowers that we have to control narcissism and to keep them from controlling us. Keep narcissists from controlling us. Number 1 is poker face. Number 2 is self-management mindset. And number 3, just the truth. Now, you want to keep talking? Let's do it. Click on one of those 2 rectangles you see on the screen and our conversation, it'll go on. If not, thank you for stopping by, and we'll talk to y'all next time.